2 years ago, I was working in parish ministry in the parish of my hometown, and I knew that it was time for me to do something different. God was calling me to something new, and I had no idea what that was. So I started looking at other parish jobs. I started looking at jobs to be a teacher and a coach at a Catholic school. And while I was doing this, I sent a text message to Jennifer, at the time, Jennifer Masters, who was on our staff, and said, hey, would you pray for me? We're discerning about what we should do next. And she called me about 3 minutes later. She's like, hey, you should come work with us. And I said, well, who's us? She said, CCFM, now known as Ablaze Ministries. And I said, okay, well, what do you guys do? She said, well, we're missionaries and we do youth ministry as a team. I was like, well, that sounds great, not really knowing what the term missionary meant. So she told me that meant that we fundraise our salaries. I was like, well, that sounds like a terrible idea, right? So I decided to come in for an interview anyway. Instead of them interviewing me, I interviewed them for about 2 hours. Like, what is this whole missionary model about? How does it all work? And so during those 2 hours, they explained to me that this missionary model is actually how the people of God have been doing ministry for many, many thousands of years, almost 2,000 years. It wasn't until the 1900s that people started getting a salary for doing ministry. For all those hundreds of years, people would give to the church, and the church was then able to pay for people to share the gospel with all the people in their area. So I started praying with this idea, and essentially decided to jump. I was like, okay, God, if this is what you want me to do, this is what I'm going to do. And it's almost 2 years later, and I have a great missionary team supporting me monthly. I've had people give to me one time as well, but it's really those monthly donors that help us to continue in this ministry that God has called us to. So one of the biggest reasons that I'm thankful for my missionary support team is that if you've seen me or if you've seen my son, you know that we really like to eat. So we literally couldn't eat without your support, right? But not only that, we're able to not only support our family, but to continue in this mission that God has called us to in the Brazos Valley, to lead teens closer to Christ. And then also for me specifically, to grow and to mentor and support the next wave of youth ministers who are going to impact the church for the kingdom. So my missionary support team, there's dozens of people who support us monthly, and I could not be more thankful, more gracious. It's great to have this team behind me, knowing that it's not just like getting a salary from a parish, but we have dozens of people saying every month with their paychecks, we support what you're doing and we support you in what you are doing. And it's just a great feeling to have, and it also adds this great deal of responsibility of hey, all these people are paying for you to be able to do this, so you need to step up and do a good job with it, right? Be a good steward of the resources that we have been given. There's a couple of specific donors that I'd like to talk about now. I won't mention their names, but right whenever I started this process, I started asking people to support me monthly. I had a lot of people say yes, a lot of people say no. And I was in this time about a month in of my initial support raising, and I was actually at Jennifer's house, who I mentioned earlier, who actually is the main reason that we came here as a family. And I was at her house talking about missionary support raising, how difficult it was. And while I was there, they started doing stuff, so I checked my email real quick, and I had gotten an email update that somebody had partnered with me for $500 a month. And I just at the beginning, this blew me out of the water, right? $500 a month, that's a lot of money. So it was this great vote of confidence, this pushing forward, and it gave great momentum into the rest of my support raising. So you know who you are, $500 a month people, so thank you very much. And it's also on the complete other side of the spectrum. It's been great having a lot of current college students, or a lot of people who are my age that graduated college a few years ago, getting their first jobs, and they're making the salary that they're making right out of college, which for a lot of them isn't all that much, right? But their first tithe, the first time that they were giving money back to the kingdom of God, was actually in partnering with me, my family, in this mission of Ablaze. So it's been great to have these people giving $5, $10, $25 a month and be a real part of our missionary support team. We couldn't do it without you guys either. So to all of you who are supporting me and my family in this mission of Ablaze, I want to say thank you. For all of those who are supporting our other missionaries on staff, I also want to say a big thank you to you. I know it's not easy every month to give what you're giving, but we really appreciate it. The youth that we serve really appreciate it. The parishes we work with appreciate it. So thank you, and I hope that God blesses you abundantly for your continuous gift. Thank you very much.